Hi, my name is Chris, and this is a video on the Course in Miracles, more specifically on the Workbook for Students, lesson number 73, which states, "I will there be light." The light that the book is referring to is the light of understanding. The reason we're being asked to will light into existence is that we are to want understanding. So to rephrase what the book is asking us to focus on as an idea is that we are to desire understanding of the truth. The light is obviously not a literal physical light, but the light of understanding. And all understanding comes from God, because God is where all truth is located. The reason for this is that God is the place where reality is happening. We, as individual people, appear to be separate. And in our separateness, we find guilt. Because guilt, whether it's expressed as shame, self-hatred, or hatred of others, or any other manifestation of suffering, always comes from a basic root cause, that one root cause being our perceived separation from each other as people. As spiritual beings, we are with God and with each other, and we never leave each other, nor would we ever even conceive of such a thought. However, we explore the idea, and part of our mind comes to a place where this illusion is made reality, because we want to understand the idea of what if it was possible to be separate from God. So a tiny fragment of our mind is engaged in being human, and of having these experiences. The reason we're being asked in this lesson to will that there be light is to change our perception. We're being asked to see in light. Light is understanding. When we perceive with a quality of understanding, then we see the truth and everything changes. When the Course says that the world can be healed through changing our perception, what it means is that the world as such, with its airplanes and buildings and environmental problems and so forth, will not change, but that people, in our view, in our mind, how we see them, how we perceive them, will be changed so that they are guiltless. And we, as well, will be free from guilt. And guilt, as the root cause of our suffering, will be ended. In other words, the cause of our suffering will be ended. Now, it seems obvious to us that our problems are caused by external things, forces, people, that we cannot control, or we can only partly adapt to or deal with. So it seems absurd to say that guilt and separation are the source of our suffering. But the truth is that the world we see is happening in our mind. We are with God, and always have been and always will be. We have the freedom to see and explore everything, even falsehoods. In exploring falsehood, the physical world came into being. To use a metaphor, it's like Adam and Eve ate the apple, and then the apple, like some sort of psychedelic drug, took them away to another world, and they fell asleep and had a nightmare, about a world that didn't exist and saw themselves suffering and being mortal and dying. And all of this happened because they ate the fruit of knowledge. False knowledge necessitates that you forget what is true, just as truth negates the knowledge of the false, which is why the Course asks you to overlook the physical world rather than mastering it. It's not a denial of the physical per se, it's a denial of the false ideas that give birth to the physical in our mind. The light in which we will, that we wish to see in, is the light of understanding, and that comes from God. We can wish for or will this light to come into being because the light is in our mind. And so the book, by making a simple statement, is really making a rather complex statement about the nature of seeing. It's saying, it's not so much about the world that you're seeing, it's about how you see. The illumination that you seek is not out in some book or external source, but within your own mind, in God. So the statement itself overcomes materialism in a number of different ways and changes one's perspective so that one sees in light. If the nature of seeing is determined by ourselves and our will, then you would think that we would go soaring off into the stratosphere with the slightest effort. All it would take is for us to will ourselves to be enlightened, and off we would go. And none of this struggle would be necessary. However, the truth is that our mind is very conflicted. Our mind is fearful of losing physicality, while at the same time hating it. And also being attached to physicality because we believe that there are things here that we want. The truth is that everything we get in physicality is tainted with suffering. And for this reason, we never really get what we want, but a degraded version of it. And pain and disappointment ultimately come out of everything that we have in the physical. So even if we are somewhat satisfied with the results of a project or relationship or experience, we still experience suffering that comes out of that experience, even in the best case scenarios. In the worst, we can suffer terribly through disappointment or frustration or inability to get what it is that we want. This is due to the nature of the physical world, which is that it is an expression of an idea, the fundamental idea being that we are separate, and that the gap between us cannot be healed. The light in which we are trying to see is trying to show us a different world, a healed world. The illumination that we are trying to grasp is that we are all one with God and equal and one with each other, and in no way separate or unloving towards each other or with each other. The light in which we can see this world depends upon our will and desire to see a world that's different from the physical, and eventually to be able to conceive of such a world existing at all. Because such a world is so abstract, we think it can't possibly be real. But in time, we begin to understand that what is real is the abstract, and what is unreal is what contains any element of physicality. Thank you, and good luck.